Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon for February 11th, 2023, with your host, Peacemaker2448, and wrap it up, Salon.
Hi.
We have a lot of Nintendo stuff to talk about this week. Like, a lot.
I mean, what are you talking about? It's not like we had a direct or anything.
A direct with a Tears of the Kingdom trailer that will take an hour to talk about.
And with the Shadow Drop Prime Remastered.
That too. But before all of that, Tommy, what have you been playing this last couple weeks?
Well, I have played through Miles again. Picked it up on PC.
How has the PC experience been?
It feels like it runs smoother, which is question mark. But I also, since, you know, I have actually beat the game without mods, I did the mods to have unlimited Venom.
I can only imagine how that might bust the game open.
Oh, that breaks so many fights.
Just unlimited yoink them in the air combo forever.
Or figuring out how to do the Venom jump into the punch kind of concept repeatedly.
Ooh, yeah, that would do it too.
Also, there's a mod for infinite invisibility. You ever wanted to do stealth in a non-stealth section of the game? Because fun fact, if the enemies can't see you, eventually they go into stealth mode. I found that out and I'm like, huh, that's interesting actually.
I was trying to figure out this picture.
Not much else.
Okay, I was trying to figure out this picture on Twitter from the preview from next week's episode of Geats, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get what they're comparing. It's Geats' helmet against someone else that debuted this week. But anyway, I picked back up Infinite Fusion. Because apparently they had a bunch of updates and stuff. And they figured out, I guess, well, I didn't soft lock the game now at where I was at before. And they also have a walkthrough, which makes getting through the game easier. Since there is some slight differences, and hey, this tells you where a bunch of like needed items are, because you know how in the most recent games they've had ways of you not having to deal with HMs?
Yeah.
Well, they do it here. Like, you can have your Pokemon have the HMs kind of as a temporary solution, but there are items you can pick up that essentially goes, all right, here's an item that lets you just do cut whenever. Here's one for, not teleport, for Rock Smash, you know, etc., etc. So if you don't want to use the HMs, you don't have to. You just use them until you get the item, and then it's like, okay, I have this regardless of who's on my team. Besides that, having an easy mode definitely makes the game super easy because I have broken the level curve. I'm practically running over everything that's in my way. Besides that, still chipping away at Engage. Played a couple of the DLC maps we'll talk about here in a little bit. Been playing Super Robot Wars Double every now and again, and been enjoying that because it's been a not bloated Super Robot Wars game for me to play. So I've more or less been in a tactics mood. Besides that, just messed around with a couple things here and there, like Landlord slot machine game I played, and trying to get the Trickstar deck to work in Master Duel because I just feel like being garbage. A garbage person playing a garbage meta deck. Ish.
Fair.
It works sometimes. Other times not so much. I think I just don't think it's tuned right. So I need to chip away at it some more. But when it works, boy howdy, do I just chip away at an opponent's life points and they just can't do anything about it. But anyway, shall we get to the Direct? Because we might as well just say, we're just talking about the Direct. So, we had one just a few days ago. It is a decently chunky Direct. Probably I would say the best one we've had in a while. I don't know about you, but this feels like the best one we've had in a while.
Yeah, definitely one of the better ones. I wouldn't necessarily say the best one, but it is up there.
Yeah. So we'll just run through the stuff that got announced and talk about stuff as we go, or not talk about stuff, since some of the stuff is not going to appeal to either one of us. So we kicked off with the Pikmin 4, which brings the camera down to the ground. We have Pikmin Dog, which I would say is the best dog of this Direct, but unfortunately another game got announced, so no, he is not, unfortunately. He is a good dog still. A couple new Pikmin are going to be in the game as well. I forgot entirely. There's an Ice Pikmin. And was it just the Ice Pikmin and the Pikmin Dog? I think it was just the Ice Pikmin. I thought there was a second Pikmin, but that might just have been Pikmin Dog. But yeah, camera is kind of like over the shoulder now, which I think makes the game so much more frightening and like better, weirdly. Besides that, looks like you can control the Pikmin and the dog. I was re-looking at this at the separate article for it, seeing like the key art for it. I thought for some reason I thought this bird that's on here might be playable, but probably not. This small little tiny bird that's in the corner.
I mean, could be. Never know.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think all the returning Pikmin are here. You're once more just scavenging for treasure and stuff, picking up friends along the way. Any thoughts from you on it?
I've not really played Pikmin, so right out the gate, no. But possibly interested kind of concept. It's one of those that it's been one of those that I'd be interested in, but I've just never pulled the trigger.
Yeah. Part of me feels like if I wanted to play a Pikmin, at least I'm trying to think. The first one has a hard time limit, right? And the second and third ones don't?
I believe so.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to play one of the other ones first before I play like the first one. Because if it's a hard time limit stuff, I'm just like, alright, I'd rather just have a guide so I know how to optimally get stuff, so I don't have to worry about more or less soft locking the game because oops, I ran out of time.
I feel like with me, Pikmin 4 would probably be one of those that if, like we were talking yesterday about getting the, basically
Voucher.
the game vouchers there,
Mm-hmm.
that would probably be the one that I would go ahead and get alongside Tears of the Kingdom. Just because at that point I'd be like, okay, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah. We had Xenoblade Chronicles 3 confirm its next couple waves of DLC for its season pass. Wave 3 brings you a new friend to join your party that gives you accessories and stuff in a roguelike mode where you pick one of the 6 main party members and then you pick up the other like extra hero characters along the way and other bonuses and like build out a party and do a series of challenges. That's cool. But what was really cool is that they gave us a teaser for the story DLC that is the final wave of the season pass. And there is like older Shulk, there's older Rex, there's Alvis from Xenoblade 1 being a villain. I wasn't expecting this. It looks really cool. I can't wait for the story to come out. I'm sure you don't have any thoughts on Xenoblade.
No, I don't.
I didn't think so.
Pretty much RPGs tend to be those that I can admire when they're good, but a lot of times I can't sink that much time in a row. Like, I'm fine with games that I can walk away from for a little bit and be perfectly fine with jumping back in. RPGs, for the most part, usually are not that kind of game.
Yeah.
Because they're so big and so interconnected. So that's one of those, I find myself more often than not walking away from an RPG just because I don't want to harm my thoughts on the game because I had to take a break between.
Yeah. Also, the third wave of DLC for Xenoblade 3 comes out in like 4 days. They didn't say when the story DLC is coming out, but I was also not expecting them to be like, yeah, it's out in 4 days. It's like, well, I guess I'm picking back up Xenoblade 3 for a little bit. Something I found out about an hour before the direct, Samba de Amigo is getting a new game on the Switch. Party Central. You can shake the Joy-Cons to the rhythm as maracas because it's Samba de Amigo. It's a rhythm game. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, it's Samba de Amigo. There's not much.
Yeah. Exceed is coming out with Fashion Dreamer, which apparently is a spiritual successor to a different game of this style. So happy for those people. That's about it. Moving on. Dead Cells got another trailer for its Castlevania crossover DLC. Something that surprised me: Tron Identity, a visual novel game based off Tron Legacy. Fucking why? I thought Disney tried to bury that movie because it flopped. Why? What? I don't understand Tron anymore. I thought Disney tried to bury Tron and forget that it owned it. Because that's all I got. What is really cool and exciting, and I really recommend people play this, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is getting a remastered on the Switch, and it looks amazing, and people should play Ghost Trick because this game has the best dog in all of video games with Missile. Missile is the best dog, and I can't tell you why Missile is the best dog because that would spoil the game. So you have to play this game to find out why Missile is the best dog in all of video games. You have any thoughts on Ghost Trick?
No.
Okay. Also, Ghost Trick is from the Ace Attorney devs if you wanted another reason to play this game, because it's the Ace Attorney people. Something new, Deca Police from level 5. It's a little turn-based RPG with crime-solving puzzles. It looked kind of cool. I was kind of interested in it. It comes out sometime this year. Bayonetta Origins got a new trailer. It's coming out in March. Nothing too new there. Splatoon 3. How about you confuse us for a while? Because I don't understand it's half of its DLC.
I mean, it's story DLC. Oh, you mean the other half?
Yeah, the story DLC doesn't confuse me as much as it's like, okay, so this is fairly standard. The first part we're getting this spring, which is, hey, here's the Splatoon 1 lobby. Okay. All the shops are the same, though, except for who's running the shops. Okay. That's it. What do you mean that's it? Why are we just getting the Splatoon 1 lobby in Splatoon 3 and nothing else? I don't get it. I still don't get this. Do you get this at all? I take the silence as a no.
We're not the only ones that think there's more to this. If you look at the article that's linked there.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope we're missing something in all of this, because, like, it's because it seems, unless there is something else to this DLC, I honestly am waiting until Side Order comes out, because that's the story DLC. That's the proper new content of the game. That, by the way, the Japanese name is also slightly different. It is called the Tower of Order. If that helps trigger any ideas of what this DLC might entail. I've seen a theory that this is going to follow up from the bad end of Splatoon 2's Octo expansion. And, like, I guess you, Marina, and Pearl, or maybe you're like the only survivors and you're trying to still save the world and fight back against fuck. It's not Grisco. That's the bad guy of Octo expansion, right? It's someone else.
I actually don't remember who technically was the bad guy for Octo expansion.
It was somebody on the phone, is what it was, but I don't remember who they were implied to be. Because I know 3, the villain is Grisco. It's just straight up Grisco. But for Octo expansion, I don't remember. But yeah, also, I guess we might get the Splatoon 2 lobby, since, hey, that's the Splatoon 2 lobby in the teaser for the story DLC, except it's all whited out. So you can choose the lobby you desire. Why does that matter? Who wanted that? Because
that's kind of what I've wondered too, because I mean, in all seriousness, it does nothing, because it's not a case of we have multiplayer lobbies, it's all individual.
The only time I walk around the lobby is to go do the card game, because that doesn't have a teleport point. Because everything else of interest in the lobby, you can teleport to, so why would I walk around the lobby? So giving me an option for a separate lobby as a skin means nothing to me. Like, literally nothing. So, like, you gotta give me more, Nintendo. Because I don't compute this decision. This seems like a dumb decision. Anything else?
No.
All right, then. Disney showed off a new platformer, Illusion Island. It reminded me of Speedrunners. Have you heard of that game?
Did you update the articles? Oh no, that's right. I opened that one. Never mind.
I was about to say, it's still we're still in the direct.
Got you there. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But anyway, have you seen anything for Speedrunners? Or know what that game is?
No.
It's kind of a multiplayer like platforming game where you and like 3 other friends are racing around this kind of like 2D map platforming and like grapple hooking around and trying to beat the other person and like doing laps. Few people I follow have done it on for like some YouTube videos and stuff. The platforming reminded me of this, but this is more of like kind of probably a Metroidvania-like game with a Disney flavor. But it looked decent enough. We got Fire Emblem DLC announced. Hector, Soren, and Camilla are going to be the unlockable emblems for Wave 2 of the DLC. Prom and Robin as a paired unit, and then Veronica from the mobile game are Wave 3. And then they showed off a bit of the story DLC for Wave 4, which they're calling the Fell Xenologue, which just looks like, hey, would you like a proper dragon friend as a unit? That's gonna be what you get for Wave 4. Hooray! Guess what? All of these people were data mined in the game because they left all the names in for who was coming in the DLC. So I knew before this direct who was coming in the DLC. I just didn't know who was coming when. I'll be honest, Soren is the odd one of this bunch that I don't understand. Even though I like Path of Radiance and he's from that game. Because Hector is a very popular unit from the Fire Emblem game that's on GBA. Camilla is the fan service character from Fates. Prom and Robin are technically the main characters of Fire Emblem Awakening, but Lucina usurps them because we need some diversity in the emblems in the game, so we're just gonna pick pick Lucina. And Veronica is the only main character not already represented in the game for Heroes, which is the mobile game. So I don't know why Soren's here. Soren feels so weird. But yeah, that's Fire Emblem. I think I blanked out for this one when I was streaming because I was busy looking at something. Harmony of the Revere? Little adventure game. It looks fine. I don't have many thoughts on it. Octopath Traveler 2 is getting a demo that lets you play the first hour or so and progress carries over. You interested in Octopath Traveler 2 at all?
No, not really, because I never played the first one.
I have played the first one. I own the first one. I still haven't beaten the first one. I just hope the individual character stories are a little bit more intertwined, because that's kind of the problem with the first game, is that you're just playing through each individual story on its own, and everyone else is just along for the ride without any comment. We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Revere is coming to the Switch. Bit of Katamari love. Sea of Stars. Nice little isometric RPG. This looks really cool. I like the art style on this. Kind of reminds me of Chrono Trigger to some respect. Let's see. Oh, Mega Strikers, which I saw Proton John do on stream once for a sponsored segment. It's a 3v3, kind of like an air hockey game, as they described it. Except you have 3 characters doing the air hockey stuff. It looks fine. Etrian Odyssey Origin Collection came out. Or not came out. Was dated. Advance Wars 1+2 finally got dated for April 21st. Magalore is getting his own little epilogue segment in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. And the other thing I found out about an hour before the Direct happened, the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance emulators on Switch Online. Game Boy comes standard. GBA is expansion pass only. I am surprised we don't have Pokemon announced for these yet. Besides the TCG card game for GBA. Otherwise, the Game Boy one has Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Gargoyle's Quest, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, for some fucking reason, Metroid 2, Wario Land 3, Kirby's Dream Land, and then the GBA one has Super Mario Advance 4, WarioWare Inc., Kurikurin, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, a really good pull, and Minish Cap for Zelda. Also a fairly good pull. I think I remember enjoying Minish Cap when we played it on stream.
Yeah, I kind of wish that this was there before we did them on stream, but meh.
And I think I'd have to pull up. I have to go through the segment to see the upcoming stuff. So give me 1 second. So, upcoming Game Boy games are the Oracles and Seasons games. The Oracles games of Seasons and Ages. The Pokemon TCG game, Kirby Tilt and Tumble. And then for the Game Boy Advance, Metroid Fusion, Kirby the Amazing Mirror, GBA Fire Emblem, which is Lynn's and Hector's Fire Emblem, and then F-Zero Maximum Velocity and Golden Sun are all upcoming for the Game Boy Advance emulator. Any thoughts on the emulators?
No. I mean, the Fusion one in there alongside, the Prime remasters got people wondering if Nintendo's gonna do the thing of if you have Fusion save data, then you might get the Fusion suit in Prime remaster. Kind of a throwback to the GameCube GBA setup that they had, but...
I have a note about the remaster once we get to it. Which one was it? Was it Game Boy or Game Boy Advance? I forget. Someone did a check with the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance emulator and found out that it's practically 1-to-1 because it passes Nintendo's internal check system for one of those two platforms. I forget which one it is. I think it's Game Boy. But it perfectly went through that check, so it's a literal 1-to-1 emulator. But neat stuff. Again, I'm surprised no Pokemon, but I think Pokemon Day is upcoming soon, so we'll probably see an announcement then of here's red, blue, yellow, gold, silver on these emulators, and they are all home compatible, so you can play those and transfer Pokemon. Probably. That'd be my guess.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of Prime, the Prime remaster of the first game was shown off. Damn, this thing looks gorgeous. It is currently digital only, but in a couple weeks, a physical version will release. So if you want to wait till the physical version, it's out in just a couple weeks.
Fun fact, it wasn't until I was looking at a comparison. Samus's ship really didn't get a whole lot of remaster love, but you can definitely tell the difference between the seats.
I saw a note from one of the devs said that the gamma on the doors is turned up too high. Like the lighting on the doors is turned up too high.
I think the doors is right. Personally. I feel like that kind of draws the player's eye to the doors.
Fair. It was just someone who worked on those doors for like months. He's just like, they really turned up the gamma on these doors for some stupid reason. I don't know why they did that.
Now, looking at the doors compared to the original,
yeah,
yes, they're too bright.
That's what the comparison was, really.
Looking at the doors, really coming off of Dread, I feel like they're right. That draws the player's eyes to it. In a 3D space, it does need to be brighter so that it can catch your eye across the room. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I believe also Samus's the reflection in her helmet of her face. That's reanimated to now she looks at exactly where your reticle is being pointed. So I just saw that in like John's Discord. I was just like, that's the most unnecessary detail in existence. Because like that is a flash, and someone took the time to make sure that that is an animation.
It's a literal blink and miss kind of deal.
Literally, I'm looking at the footage now and I'm like, you can barely see this. But the extra note I had found out is we have the time on when this was classified for Germans, essentially equivalent of the ESRB. Would you care to guess when it got classified?
Probably a few years ago.
July 2021. 18 months before release.
Meaning that not all, but most of the rumors about them working on this in the back and it being almost finished was right.
Yeah.
I'm almost feeling like this was intentionally delayed until 4 was closer to release. I also think that I know why it's a $40 game. I think this is essentially going to be how we're going to get the trilogy. They're going to release each of them as $40 games and space it out between now and when Prime 4 comes out. I think we're probably within a year to 2 years. Because I could see them doing 6-month releases for the other two. With Prime 4 trailing it off. So if I'm right on that, that means the end of next year. But I also feel like they're probably going to do the same thing for Echoes and Corruption. They're probably going to shadow drop it in a direct and just say, oh, here it is.
We just had them ready. We've just been waiting to make sure Prime 4's development is far enough along so that we can release these in a timely manner.
Because the more I'm looking at all this, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, this would have rivaled with Dread. And then when you said about, you know, it getting its rating way back in 21.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe Dread was actually pulling from this. Maybe it was the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Again, just trying to unify Metroid in terms of a visual standpoint.
Yep. Because that's always been the thing. The Prime trilogy was always a offset from the 2Ds. Literally the only tie-in the Prime trilogy even had with the 2D Metroids was the fusion suit being in Prime. It was always supposed to be its own standalone. It wouldn't surprise me if they find a way to rewrite that to make that work going forward.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like they loosely did with the way Dread ended. But I mean, at the same time, I don't think they need a connected timeline for Metroid.
Yeah.
And I only say that because, one, Samus always loses any new suits that she gets from her adventure. She always winds up going back to the Varia suit.
Yeah.
So that doesn't change everything. You literally start every Metroid game with losing every bit of the upgrades that she had at the beginning. Meaning that as long as this is still base suit Samus and not post-fusion suit Samus, there's really no definitive time that this had to take place.
Yeah.
It would make sense to have a little more cohesive timeline, but technically it doesn't make a difference. So I wonder if that's why they're trying to go more uniform with everything on it now. Because I could see that. But in all seriousness, I think we're either going to see the Prime Trilogy be released that way, or 2 and 3 actually is ready right now. They wanted to make sure that the hype was actually there, so they only released the first one, just to see how many people will buy it.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing that I've thought might be the case. Because what happens with all the rumors that have been for Prime the last handful of directs? As soon as the direct's announced, everyone jumps on the, ooh, they're gonna announce Prime this one. When they don't do it, everyone just kind of quietly walks away and acts as if they never thought that.
Yeah.
This time them actually pulling the trigger, I think that's them trying to see if the hype leading into it actually exists in a real sense, or if it's just a short-term, ooh, hype.
Yeah.
But in light of just about everyone that watched the direct immediately picked up the remaster, I'm kind of willing to bet that we'll probably at least see something else coming out before too much long.
I'm honestly surprised there is no word of something got snuck in to reference Prime 4.
Since I do have that practice mod through the emulator, and yes, I have ripped my own, I did not download one from the internet. I'm goofing around in it to try to unlock as much as I can.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I've already set the 100%. I'm now going around because a lot of the unlocks are actually tied to the major items.
Yeah.
So I'm going around now and quote unquote getting the major items. Which oddly enough doesn't confuse the game. Don't ask. I don't know.
It's fine.
Because I full on expected it to confuse the game and be like, you got 2 of these now. But no, it's perfectly fine. The only oops that I've found, and that probably means that I can't finish all of the unlocks, is the weird glitch that I found with Flagra. Because apparently they did tweak some of the back end of it. So if you do the speedrun strat of coming into Flagra backwards, or the randomizer strat, I guess I really should say, because that's about the only time that's useful, yeah, you get treated to the ghost fight instead of the Flagra fight. Because apparently they set the flags now to the doors. And if you beat a flag in the future, you can't do the flag in the past anymore. I also have the hint system completely confused. Booted it up twice. One time I got the hint for Fendrana. Other time I got the hint for the burn dome fight in Chozo. So it doesn't know which area I'm supposed to be in currently. Which is fine, because I also found out you can change your position. Meaning that screw puzzles. I'm just going over the door. I'm trying to speed this up and see how much I can break the game at the same time. Because I know Prime is very temperamental on its out of bounds. Which is one thing that oddly the remaster still nails.
What?
The whole out of bounds being finicky.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not say on the GDQ run for the randomizer that if you fall out of bounds in Prime, a lot of times you're just stuck continuously falling?
I don't know.
I'm wanting to say they did. If that's the case, they fixed it with the remaster. Because you fall so far out of bounds, it auto kills you. It's almost like they looked at a randomizer run and said, people can do this. Let's not let them do this. Yet they left the out of bounds. Unfortunately, that thing with Flagra, if most of the other bosses are that way, which Thardus is not, if most of the other bosses are that way, it might actually be a while before the randomizer's running for it. Because they'll have to program the logic to it not allow certain things.
I guess any other thoughts on Prime?
No. Besides, it's really good, and I recommend people getting it.
It will be on the list of things I will pick up eventually. We have a second detective game that got announced at the Direct. Master Detective Archives Raincoat from Danganronpa, folks. I prefer the other detective game that got shown off. That's about it. But Baten Kaito 1 and 2 are getting HD remasters coming out this summer. Fantasy's Life: The Girl Who Steals Time, also from Level 5, is a slice of life RPG, doing slice of life RPG stuff. Moving on. Professor Layton is back with a new game called The New World of Steam that will probably not come out on Steam, so boo.
If it wasn't in a direct, I would say it would really be funny if it only came out on Steam.
Mm-hmm. Wave 4 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's DLC Season Pass was announced. We got a Yoshi Island track as a part of this part of this Wave 4, because I don't think they've announced the rest of it. It's just, here's a track that's coming with it. Also, Birdo as a character, because technically characters can be a part of this now. Because
they'll probably announce the rest of the tracks in a direct closer to its release.
that seems to be what they're doing with these, is that usually like a week or two out, they're like, here's all the tracks for this wave, see you in 2 weeks.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. But what's also interesting, the Yoshi's Island track is a brand new track.
Yep.
Everything that has been in the booster course pass so far has actually been re-releases.
Either from previous game or a sneaky, we're not labeling it as from World Tour, but it is a World Tour track.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of the other new tracks have been World Tour tracks.
And
They've
see,
just not been labeled as such.
and see, that was the thing that I was kind of wondering. We front-loaded a lot of this with tour tracks.
Mm-hmm.
The back half of it I kind of figured was not going to have a bunch of tour tracks, but I also kind of wasn't expecting them to do new tracks.
Yeah.
I was more expecting them to try to pick and choose other tracks from previous games. Because we really don't have a super strong representation from any of the others. It's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I could have seen them using these, at least a few of these cups, to kind of focus a little harder on different Mario Kart games.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, at the same time, there's not a whole lot left for like 64 and some of the earlier ones that they can pull.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a whole lot you can pull from SNES anymore, because a lot of the tracks are kind of samey outside of their theme.
Yeah. And we've already
like...
got, what, 4 or 5 SNES tracks now?
I think?
I say or 5 because I think there is one of them in the booster course that is technically a SNES track, but I think it's the tour rendition of it.
I have to look at a list.
I know there's at least 3 because we got one in the booster course that I know of. And we had 2 in the base game.
Mario Kart Circuit 3 is SNES. That's on the booster pass. That's supposedly the only SNES track.
On the booster pass?
Yes. The rest of it is Tour, 3DS, couple GBA, DS, N64, Wii. Yeah, there's not another SNES one.
I'm thinking one of the tour ones is actually a reimagining, I guess you technically would call it, of one of the SNES tracks. That's why I'm like, that one maybe you could loosely consider, but I don't think so.
If it is, I would.
It changes enough to where it don't matter.
Yeah. I'm looking at the base game. See what the other SNES ones are. Donut Plains.
Yeah. Rainbow Road.
Yeah, SNES Rainbow Road, and that is it. There's actually only 3.
So I mean, you might could do like a SNES Bowser's Castle.
Yeah.
Just to kind of round it out. But that's about it. But yeah, SNES is about done, kind of deal. About the only thing that I can think of that wouldn't be repetitive coming out of N64 might be like Cheap Cheap Beach or something like that.
Yeah,
because I mean, Wario Stadium would be another one, but we already have one of the more modern ones, so
yeah, it's just like, well, it's that. I'm trying to think of we have a beach track, but it's not really that. I'm trying to think of which one it is. Looking at that just pictures. I'm like, crap, there's a beach one. I know there's a beach one on this.
Because after getting Choco Mountain and Calamari Desert, that kind of was the other two ones that made N64 what it was.
Is it Cheap Cheap Beach? The DS one I'm thinking of? Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. That's the other beach track we have at the moment.
I'm thinking it's still Cheap Cheap Beach in the N64. I might be wrong on the name of it. I know there's a beach one.
See if I can find it real quick. Koopa Troopa Beach.
Yeah, okay.
That's what it is.
But yeah, I mean, okay. I'm actually gonna or the list up for it.
Honestly, if there's any other tracks to add from N64 at this point, there's only like 2, I feel like, looking at the list that would be worth doing. Yoshi Valley.
We've already got that.
Oh, we do?
Yep.
I might... well... Oh, yeah, we do. I see this now. Jungle Parkway, then? Because we also have Turnpike, and we have Cocoa Mountain, and we have Royal Raceway.
Moo Moo Farm would be repetitive, because we've got the GameCube version? Was that the GameCube one or the Wii one?
I don't know. I'm just looking at Sherbet Land and I'm like, we have one just like that as well.
I mean, Prope Snowland, maybe?
Yeah, as a non-ice snow one.
Banshee Boardwalk, they actually, the last wave just added one that was too similar that I feel like it'd get those two mixed up. N64 Bowser Castle might be the only other one that I could think of.
Boo Lake from GBA is what you're thinking of. And looking at a picture of this. Oh yeah, this is literally just that track, but for the GBA. I'm just looking at pictures of like, yeah, this is literally just the N64 track, except rename. So like that's
I honestly think you're right. Jungle Parkway would probably be about the only definitive one.
yeah, because I feel like that's the only one left with anything unique identity-wise that we haven't done.
I mean, like I said, maybe N64 Bowser Castle. But yeah, Jungle Parkway, I feel like would be the only other major one.
Yeah, we only have like one Bowser stage, don't we? Really? Because we have all Bowser Castle, and I'm like, anything in that
that
vein,
might actually be the only one we've got.
like you have Neo Bowser City, but I'm like, that doesn't count. I feel like the closest thing in this list I'm looking at is like Grumble Volcano from the Wii, because it's lava.
Okay, wait a minute. You said about the GBA one.
Yeah.
That's the one that I was talking about. Because Super Circuit actually is a lot of the SNES game tracks remade. There's not a whole lot of new on it. That's why I felt the way I did. That was the GBA one.
Oh, okay.
Do we even have a lot of Double Dash representation? 'Cause I honestly don't think we do.
That's technically anything GameCube. So any GameCube tracks are Double Dash. So that's Yoshi Circuit, Baby Park, Dry Desert, Sherbert Land,
That one's Rainbow Road ain't in there, is it?
no.
Didn't think so.
No, it's this game's Rainbow Road and one other Rainbow Road. I forget the other one's Rainbow Road.
It's N64 SNES and 8.
Okay, maybe I'm just thinking that that has a third Rainbow Road for no reason. Except like, wait, no, we have N64 Rainbow Road.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, this game doesn't have its own Rainbow Road. Okay, that's my problem.
Yes, it does.
Fair. I'm dumb. I'm not seeing it on the list. I'm stupid.
N64, SNES, and 8 is all 3 in the main. I'm wanting to say there's
Okay.
one
There's
in the...
N64, SNES.
Special Cup is Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see it now. I kept skipping over it.
Lightning Cup and Triforce Cup. Because
I kept skipping it over because I just the picture didn't click with me.
SNES Rainbow Road technically is considered a DLC map.
Yeah, because
when Deluxe came out, it became just part of it.
Yeah.
You know what would be another good one from GameCube? Daisy Cruiser.
Yeah.
It's one that stands out, and it would be a case of that one would actually kind of be another good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd have to see the track list real quick. Be like, what else from Double Dash?
There's not really a whole lot else. I mean, Dino Dino Jungle, maybe, but that one didn't really stand out when we were playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because the only other two I'm seeing are like Mushroom Bridge and Mushroom City, and I'm like, we technically have the definitive traffic map, so
Yeah.
Do we really need Bridge and City?
I mean, that Waluigi Stadium's pretty much the same as what we've got for Wario Stadium.
Yeah, I think the only thing unique about... I'm trying to think. Because I think Wario Coliseum has like a dome you can drive into. Honestly, I feel like if anything could be added, it's battle maps, but no one cares about the battle mode, so...
I mean, I kind of feel like Daisy Cruiser... We had DK Mountain in there, didn't we? Already. DK Jungle. That's the one I was
Yeah,
saying.
we have the 3DS one. We don't have Double Dash's one with the cannon.
But really, that one's about the same.
Yeah.
I think we might be actually close to tapping out on how many more they could throw in.
Mm-hmm. And to think we're halfway through this Mario Kart 8.5 expansion. Because this, at this point, it just is Mario Kart 8.5.
Mario Kart 9.
Right.
I don't have enough experience with like DS, Wii, and 7 to really justify it being like, oh yeah, this one definitely.
I feel like DS is the only one I've ever played that much, and I don't remember anything from DS, so I have no idea without looking at a list.
Also, fun fact, we're 6 tour courses away from having all of them in 8.
And considering we've gotten what, a tour course per... Yeah, we've gotten a tour course per...
More than that.
Really?
More than that.
Well, at least a tour course per wave. It's definitely more, but yeah. They could probably sneak in the rest of them and be done.
Because we got 3 in the first wave. 3 in the second. 3 in the third. Okay. Well. Well, I see the pattern there. We won't have any tour courses in the last group then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 6 away from it. So
Yeah,
yeah, they'll be in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list and I'm like, do we have pinball? Yeah, we'd have pinball. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we got pinball.
Yeah, I was looking at the list and I'm like, pinball?
That was in the last batch.
Yeah. Yeah. Luigi's Mansion! Because I don't think they have that one. But I think we have a haunted house one, so like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Delfino?
too close.
Delfino Square? Because we don't have anything Delfino themed, do we?
We don't, but is it bad that I would almost lean towards just saying throw Peach Beach in if we're gonna do that then?
Yeah.
I almost feel like it'd just kind of be neat if they threw all the Rainbow Roads in. Because, I mean, we lack, what? 2, 3, 4. No, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like 5 of them. So I mean that plus the 6 tour courses, there's 11 of the courses right there. 12 if we count the fact that now we know about Yoshi's Island. I'd just YOLO it at that point.
One of the waves is just all rainbow roads.
Sprinkle them through. I mean, there's 5 left. We've got 6 cups left. Pick a cup you don't want it in and then throw one in each of the others.
Yeah. Alright.
Or go really ballsy and have one cup that is nothing but Rainbow Road.
The Rainbow Cup. It's Rainbow Roads. All Rainbow Roads.
I know. Do it on the Spiny Cup. Because we do have the names for all of them, so I mean...
Oh, I forgot to tell you this. Apparently we now have a Koopa Troopa for that shell. Because of the Mario movie. Like, we have a Koopa variant for the blue shell from Mario Kart. There's something frightening about that idea of like, oh no, that's an actual enemy now. Oh god, what is his power then?
You know what's bad? That means if we do get an Odyssey 2, that's more than likely going to be an enemy.
Oh, it would not surprise me whenever the next Mario game is, it pulls from the movie to some respect. Especially if it does super well. It's like, yeah, we're going to pull some stuff from the movie and reference it.
The main reason I said Odyssey 2 and didn't say next Mario game is because unless Nintendo's going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to do a new console, more than likely the logical outcome's going to be Odyssey 2.
Yeah.
Typically, Mario games don't get a new title until they go on to a new console. Mm-hmm. If Galaxy 2 had actually came out on the Wii U instead of the Wii, then it probably would have been called something else.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, anything else on the Mario Kart?
Nope, nothing else on the Martin Carton.
All right. We had a montage of stuff. Blanc was in there. That's that black and white game with the fox, and I forget what the other animal is. Kind of a co-op, adventure game. And Battle Network Legacy Collection. Hooray! But we ended off with the main thing. It's Tears of the Kingdom. We have a new trailer. Oh boy, we're gonna be here for another hour.
Yes. While we talk about the Legend of Minecraft. I mean, Zelda.
Oh, you mean the Legend of Nuts and Bolts?
We don't talk about nuts and bolts.
That's what we're doing, essentially, is we are using whatever this big fancy green glue is to literally glue parts together to make vehicles.
That's Guardian Guts, thank you very much.
We have 3 examples of vehicles in the trailer.
That's actually what it is.
I don't think it's actually that, but it's something we can use to glue shit together. Because we have 3 examples of vehicles in the trailer. 2 of which are flying. Because we get a car, we get a hot air balloon, and we get a VTOL metal plate that we have just shoved 4 fans on, and we were hoping this flies. But we have that. We have... I've seen described as shrines, for lack of a better term, because some of the locations of them are shrines, are close to where shrines are in Breath of the Wild. The swirling green text stuff from the first trailer. we're seeing that pop up on the map in various locations. And since one of those is in Hateno, near where the shrine is in Hateno, that seems to be what they are, equivalency wise. And like we have the equivalency of towers. We seem to have a almost like not necessarily a permanent blood moon, but like a blood moon's an artifact. We have a fucking dragon guarding the Great Bridge. A 3-headed dragon guarding the bridge. We have to fight a dragon at some point in this game. All sorts of islands and stuff.
You know what? That's not green glue.
What is it?
That is a slate power of some kind. And I'm saying that for lack of a better term because we don't know how Link's arm is integrated into the Pika slate.
I will put it this way. At no point in this trailer, or I think in any trailer, we see Link having the slate.
My point exactly.
I think the arm replaces the slate. Because we see at one point in this trailer, Link using the arm to do, or a couple times actually, the Link using the arm to do slate things from the first game.
You know what I wouldn't be surprised by? We know that there was some kind of a battle between Link and Calamity. More than likely somewhere early in the game.
Yeah.
What if his arm isn't necessarily gone as much as it has merged with the slate because of his encounter with Calamity?
Well, we know his arm gets damaged. Because we can see it damaged, like, at the end of this trailer.
But we also don't know where they're pulling from on the trailer.
I would assume this is early in the game because Link does not have the fancy arm thing that he has in the rest of the game, the trailer and stuff that they're promoting.
Unless it is like I said, and it's merged because of his interaction with Calamity.
Right.
Perhaps by defeating him, it reverts the arm back to the damaged state that it actually should have been.
Right. I'm trying to find some of the artwork that got posted on Twitter because where is the Zelda one? There's one piece of art.
In my opinion, I feel like that would make for a neat narrative and a different way for them to advertise.
Right. Where is the Zelda key art? Because there is a Zelda key art that they released, and it has a new slate that she's holding. And I'm trying to find it, and I'm not finding it, because of course not. Where is it? Why can't I find every other like key art? Because I can find like the 2 key arts of Link, the key art of the broken Master Sword, key art of Zelda. Fuck, nope, can't have that one. Because I've also seen suggestions of like, oh, there's some time travel going on, and because we have these 2 different key arts of Link, and I'm like, that's not time travel. That is, Link got fucked up, and this is the one where he wakes up, and this is the one where he's actually got better. There it is.
I mean, you do have a Hyrule Warriors game that dealt with time travel.
Yeah.
I
There's the key
can't
art
think
with
that
Zelda.
I can't think that that was a one-off. I feel like that could have been hinting at something.
Right. There's the key art with Zelda, where she has a brand new version of the slate. That is not the original slate. That is a new slate. Which probably doesn't surprise me that she probably has upgraded it since she got a hold of it.
Well, I mean, she needed that OLED screen.
True. Zelda feels like the kind of person that would upgrade to an OLED for no other reason than just because it is a nicer screen.
Well, I mean, they're playing it on the go a lot.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, other things from the trailer. Mysterious character reaching out to maybe Link with his branded arm thing. Ganondorf talks. Some people say it's Matt Mercer is the voice actor, just because it sounds like him. That doesn't really give us anything, but new versions of Bokoblins. A Redead, assumingly, is also spotted in the trailer. That's the kind of humanoid thing with the split mouth. It's what a lot of people are going like, that's a Redead. That's probably a Redead. Oh, goody. It's gonna come hug us.
I did miss that.
It is 56 seconds into the trailer. It's the one where all the enemies kind of are like standing up going, "Hurrah!" It's between the, what I'm going to call it, Boss Goblin, because in one of the analysis I watched, they called it a Boss Goblin, even though it's just a Boss Goblin. And Boss Goblin is a better name, so Boss Goblin. And the Lizalfos. So it's just between the two of them. It's a very clear look at it as well. So they're not even trying to hide it.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's what people are.
They've been sticking way too true to it, though.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that don't look like it.
I think people are calling it a Redead because that's the closest thing we have in comparison. Like, people are calling the dragon thing on the bridge the three-headed dragon thing from the original game, because that's the closest thing we have to a three-headed dragon thing in the franchise. So unless it's just a...
I could maybe see that. Okay, you know what? I might could give them the Redead concept.
Yeah.
If we do one thing. What if all the mobs could have Redeads also?
Mm-hmm.
What if that's a Redead Bokoblin? I could see them doing a spin like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, this is the enemy that everyone knows, but there's a twist. Each of the factions can have their own.
Yeah. Game is still slated for May. Can't think of anything else to shout out from there. Okay, the reason I don't feel like time travel is involved because of these two separate versions of Link in these key arts is because we clearly see that there is a series of events through these three trailers. When these events happen relative to the game is dependent, but we clearly see that the story being told from us through these three trailers is Link and Zelda go underground for some specific reason. While underground, they find Ganondorf. Something happens that awakens Ganondorf, shit happens, Link gets fucked up, the Master Sword gets broken, and Zelda may or may not die. At some point, Link ends up... Yeah, again. Green Hand seemingly takes Link, transports him to whatever these Sky Islands are, merges its powers with him, so he now has fancy Buster arm that gives him superpowers and stuff, like tracking arrows. Because I think the tracking arrows is the power of the arms. It's not a specific arrow thing. Because it looks like the arm glows when he notches the arrow for that. So I think it's a power of the arm. Because I think that's kind of going to be the thing of the game, is that, oh, all your powers are based around this arm, and you're going to go do things to power it up so you can go fuck up Ganon one more time. But that happens, so the initial Link we see is the one where he's shirtless with just the arm, and eventually he, gets his stuff back and, becomes normal Link. Shirtless Link is just tutorial Link. Because also, his shirt is burned when Ganon fucks him up. Like his champion shirt, it is burned to like middle of his chest. But granted, that's just what I'm seeing from, this is the story across these 3 trailers. This is what is being presented to us at the story. Unless this is not the case and there is something else deeper, I don't know, but this feels like this is what we're at least being told outright is what the story of Tears of the Kingdom is going to be initially. Whether or not time travel shenanigans and all that happens, it can happen, but it doesn't seem like the game is telling us time travel shenanigans are going to happen. It seems like we're assuming time travel shenanigans are going to happen because of everything else involving Zelda.
No, because of green arm. Green means time. Because thanks Marvel.
Oh. Okay, I was like, since when has green meant time travel in Zelda?
Not to mention, I am gonna throw this out there. He is the reincarnation of the hero of time.
Right, I'm sure. Like, I do not doubt that somehow, some way, some time travel shenanigans are going to be involved in this game. I'm not saying there won't be. I'm just saying, if we are going to say that it is, nothing in this trailer is nothing in any of these trailers I feel like is specifically saying time travel. Zelda in general tells us time travel will be involved, not these trailers. Because nothing in these trailers have said time travel.
Even then, it might not.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's extremely interesting that we've had not one but 2 Hyrule Warriors games that have involved different means of time travel.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if Nintendo's perfectly fine with embracing that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder, because I mean, back when Ocarina was out, that kind of was the smartest way for them to do Light World, Dark World, and it somewhat makes sense of the story.
Yeah.
So I get why they did that. Going forward, we've not really had that, though. So that's one of those, that's the question of why did we randomly start getting that in the Hyrule Warriors games that were basically trying to keep everyone's eyes off of the mainstream Zelda while they were working on it. It almost feels like there was a play here that might pertain to time travel. at the very least, I have to wonder. We know them islands weren't floating up there in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Chronologically, for Zelda, the floating islands would have to be a reference to Skyloft, which would have been way in the past from where Breath of the Wild ended.
Yeah, and I was also going to bring up Skyward Sword has a ton of time travel shenanigans as well. So that's why I again say, like, if we're thinking time travel, it's because Zelda in general has done time travel shenanigans before.
It's one of those. It feels like there is something there.
Yeah.
The question's going to be, are they going to treat it as time travel, or are they going to try to treat it as their answer for Light and Dark World?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of always been the thing, too.
I think it just... I feel like the islands are more just a continuation of the idea of how Breath of the Wild was designed to start with, which is, if you can see it, you can go to it. But now, since it's like, you've explored the base map of Breath of the Wild, and while we have changed things and there are new things there, now, here's all this shit in the sky. Now, because we've also introduced this vehicle build mechanic, now it's all right, there's a cube floating in the sky. How do I get there?
Basis plus rock.
Yeah.
I had to.
That's my thought of like what all these islands mean. Is just how do we continue the design idea of what Breath of the Wild was? Oh, what if it's just a whole bunch of islands in the sky and you could see them from the ground all the time? Now you're just trying to figure out, how do I get there?
But here's the problem that I have with that.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a story answer.
Right.
Because when you're writing a sequel where the previous game had no allusions whatsoever to that,
right,
you have to write a reason to.
I'm sure there was a reason to it, but I'm just saying, on a gameplay level, this is what those islands are.
But the question I have is, what is that reason?
Yeah.
Is it being yanked through time, and that's what's happened? Because if I'm not mistaken, the idea for Skyloft was it basically came crashing to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a case of, oh, it's always been up there, it just now got pulled down closer to where you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that can't actually happen. Not with the way that Breath of the Wild paid so much attention to detail of all the past games. And created weird continuity that does not need to get explained.
Yeah. I feel like we can't answer that because we don't have anything to be able to answer it with, because Nintendo has purposely kept everything vague about the plot of this game. Besides how this game starts, probably.
That's why I'm like, I feel like maybe people are onto something with time travel, but the question is it being used to tell the story, or is it being used to enhance the story?
Yeah.
Because if it's being used to enhance the story, then it could be something weird like, okay, the battle between Link and Calamity at the end of Breath of the Wild caused the islands to come into existence.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of something between them caused that to happen.
Yeah.
You could technically write that off as if it just was a natural thing. Or you could go the crazy thing and be like, in order to fix the problem, Zelda has found a way to, go through time and yank stuff forward.
Yeah.
Because I could see that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even though I say that we kind of know the beginning of the story, we still don't know the full beginning of the story, because we also don't know why the fuck Link and Zelda went underground looking for shit to start with.
Right.
I have my headcanon, or have my idea of why, based off of, the original game, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be this.
I almost have to wonder. I know Age of Calamity kind of veers a different direction thanks to the time travel concept. What if we started this one though with our mini guardian friend that came back from the end of that game? And maybe gave Zelda a heads up of, hey, Calamity's not gone.
I could see that, but I could also see Zelda maybe investigating. My idea is, since we don't know how long between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like how much time has passed between these two games, my idea is Zelda has went pretty much full in like scholar investigatory on just whatever, because like we're not rebuilding the castle and we're not like getting back to where we were. We're just gonna go forward with how we are. And Zelda's more or less just went, I don't want to be in charge. I want to just do research stuff because that's what I wanted to start with. So she's done that, and she's stumbled upon something not making sense. And that leads her and Link underground to figure out why something doesn't make sense about, like, Ganon, the Calamity. Like, something's not adding up in all of the stuff that she's reading. That leads them underground, and that leads them to Ganondorf. And that's when they just go, oh, fuck. And that's when they try to solve the problem there, but oh shit, we made it worse. Because I also feel like Zelda will have a panic moment of, oh fuck, oh shit, oh no, I didn't stop him. He's still here.
So, in theory, your idea would work alongside what I said too.
Yeah.
Because that could be the catalyst of, wait, stuff ain't adding up.
Yeah. It's just a means of not having to rely on Age of Calamity's story and, wait, who is this little mini guardian person that has never been said in Breath of the Wild but was in Age of Calamity?
Never been said in Breath of the Wild, however, is canonically part of it.
Right.
Because at that point you could basically sidestep that entire game by simply having Zelda make an offhanded comment of, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, right, that stuff happened in that game. Mm-hmm. This guy knows stuff.
Yeah, that's how I think this game will go, just based off what I know about the characters and stuff from the first game. I feel like Zelda will investigate, because I also feel like she also just wants to make sure, no, he's dead, right? I don't want to spend another fucking 100 years locked up in goo again, or damn a descendant of mine, because shit goes bad again. No, I want him dead. Because I feel like that's going to be what causes them to try to, like, kill Ganon and then shit goes wrong, and then it's a, oh fuck, oops, we made things worse, now we have to fix it.
Well, you know what would spur her research of it? One simple thing and it's a common thread amongst all Zelda games. What actually finished Ganon off in Breath of the Wild?
Zelda.
Because of the light arrows weakening him.
Yeah.
What stops Ganon in literally every other Zelda game?
Master Sword.
Mm-hmm. How much you want to bet she does research and it's like, wait, crap. He's still alive. We didn't take care of him the right way.
Yeah, also me saying all this is also because I would like a more, this Zelda, doing stuff, because this is the most character Zelda has ever had, I feel like, in the franchise at times.
That's not saying much, by the way.
I know, I'm just like, let's see, whether Zelda has had a whole lot of character. Tetra, and, Tetra. A version of Tetra, really? That's it. That's all I got. Unless we start counting spin-offs, and I'm like, well, Hyrule Warriors Zelda got to do a bunch of stuff. But I'm just like, Ocarina of Time Zelda, no. Twilight Princess Zelda, nah, she spent most of the game just locked up in the castle.
Well, no,
Original Zelda.
Ocarina's Zelda did kind of do some.
Right,
and by
as
that,
Sheik.
And by that I mean Sheik did some stuff.
Right. It's kind of, again, a Tetra situation, but I think less so because it's not really much of a character arc. Granted, Tetra doesn't really have a character arc either, I don't believe. Again, Zelda gets to do stuff, but not as Zelda, no, as another character. Before we find out that she's Zelda.
Tetra is Princess Pirate.
Pretty much. But this is a Zelda that, like, we get to see grow and change through the memories and stuff, and I'm like, I would like more of her in the main game, which is also why people want her playable. And considering, again, that she's the one with the slate and the key art, I'm like, hopefully we don't kill her and we just separate her from Link so she can just kind of do her own stuff in the background.
No, she's getting killed.
I know, they've said before that this is like a darker Zelda, and I'm just like, well, that's one way to make it dark, is just murder Zelda within the first 5 minutes, but I'm like, that's cheap as fuck. And also, no one wants that. Nobody wants that. Not a soul wants that.
Now,
no.
You know what's going to happen. They have highlighted so much about the downfall of Link's arm and Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
What if all the tutorial stuff you're playing as Zelda and then switch over after that?
I could see that. I could see, like, Link and Zelda get rescued, dropped off on the Sky Islands. Link is unconscious because, oops, kind of got murked by Ganon and Calamity in the all that shit. And Zelda's like, how do I fix this? And the arm's just like, just points, and it's like, I guess I'm doing stuff with the slate. Because that might also, that's another idea I have, is that Zelda will be not necessarily traveling with you, but she'll be at some location you keep coming back to for stuff. And maybe you swap off with her to do stuff when you come back after doing something major. Or maybe you get side stuff with her. I don't know. I'm just tossing ideas out at this point. But yeah, that's the Direct, folks. There's also a nice visual of everything that was either announced or updated at the Direct, linked in the tweet. not much else to talk about. It's just, hey, if you want a nice recap, there it is. But any other thoughts on the direct before we move on?
No.
All right, then. Some other news that came out. Nintendo adjacent news. Apparently, Xbox and PlayStation will not be at E3 2023. In a report, more or less, it seems to be that Sony's not showing up because they haven't shown up to the last several E3s, because E3 has not served its needs at all, and they prefer their state of plays, which apparently a state of play is within a month, according to some reports. Microsoft and Nintendo, are not showing up because supposedly in reports adjacent to this, they don't have a lot in their back half, which we'll talk about that in Nintendo's case in a minute. But this is a big blow to the return of E3 as it attempts to return from the shambling corpse it's been for the last several years. Because I was honestly surprised to see a lot of people sad about this, about how E3 is just not seems to be kind of dying, and I'm like, y'all are several years too late on this. I feel like E3 has been dying for several years now, and this may just be the thing that finally puts it out of its misery. I don't know. That might be me. What do you think?
I kind of agree with you.
Because, for those that don't know, E3 has been trying to serve both a general consumer base and industry personnel for the last few years after it went public, and it has served neither. Gamescom has done a better job of that than E3, because E3 had abysmal attendance numbers in 2019 as compared to every other video game trade show in existence that year. That plus 2020's the news of what E3 2020 was going to be pre-pandemic sounded abysmal. Gamescom has replaced it as kind of the industry go-to. Tokyo Game Show still going strong and kind of has served that for Asia. PAX, I feel, has been serving consumer people who've wanted to play games early, because that's what PAX has been doing, and that's 2 shows a year. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Actually, and a lot of these, these main 3 and a lot of other people have realized we can do our own stuff online and get the same amount of people talking about our games and stuff without the need to spend millions of dollars doing all of these shows and stuff, putting together these big elaborate events and stuff. So I'm sorry, E3 was going to die because it was the one that wouldn't change. Because I feel like at this point, if you want to go to E3, there are shows that are E3 without the E3 name on it at this point. It's Gamescom, it's PAX, it's Tokyo Game Show, it's any of those that aren't E3, because they all have become E3 at this point. I don't know. Do you have anything to say for that?
No.
Because I might be sounding way too harsh on this, but I'm look, the what you wanted out of E3 exists. It exists in other shows now. Whether you realize it or not, PAX is now E3. PAX is that E3 experience you want. It just doesn't have that E3 name. And if you're industry personnel, Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show are what you want for E3 at this point, I feel like. So, E3's got to do something new now to not be dead, essentially.
I know, they should get into competitive esports.
Oh, God. Anyway.
They can partner up with Riot and Blizzard.
we're moving on. I am absolutely no. That'll kill it faster. Nintendo also had their quarterly earnings call. And this is from them. This is an official PDF from Nintendo that is easily available because they publicly publish all of their Q&As and quarterly earnings and all that stuff on their websites and Twitters. So this is all easily accessible. So the reason I'm bringing in this Q&A is because you know how people keep talking about a new Switch console?
Uh-huh.
About that, there's a lot of verbiage repeated very often in this Q&A. Now, I'll see if I can find a highlight of one time. Here's one. When asked about what kind of life cycle do you expect for the Nintendo Switch, they gave an answer of where to start this. In this environment, it will not be easy to maintain hardware sales at the same pace as before. For this reason, our new challenge for the 7th year is finding ways to encourage users who are considering new purchases, replacement purchases, and additional purchases to pick up a Nintendo Switch. We believe that both new titles and evergreen titles can create opportunities for new users to purchase hardware. Furthermore, maintaining engagement with the hardware can lead to the introduction of new software. And there's a lot of verbiage repeated at that, where they are focusing on titles, on software. They don't really talk about changing from the Switch. And that is a lot of what gets repeated through all of these answers. They also, again, talk about how they have stuff for the rest of the year, which kind of goes against the report that's come out that Nintendo doesn't have anything for the new year. No, they say they've got stuff in the works. Yeah. And as we've seen from, carbon dating on Prime Remaster, they might just be sitting on a bunch of stuff that is done and just waiting
we have had for quite a few years now the rumors of the Prime trilogy was finished.
Yeah.
Knowing Prime Remaster has technically been in a near complete and or complete state since 21, chances are 2 and 3 are also in that same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that's 2 more things that actually could be the end of the year.
Yeah, and I believe Fire Emblem Engage was also, one of its ratings was dated for, I think, last year. Meaning the game has been done for about a year or so before it finally came out.
Well, like I said, at least at near complete.
Yeah.
Because you can get a rating without the game being complete.
Yeah, it's...
But it does have to be at a certain point to where you can send the harshest part of the game to the rating companies to get that viewed.
Right. It is more or less in...
At that point, I would have to think it'd be safe to say it's anywhere between like 85 and 95% complete by the time the ratings are done.
It's in the polishing stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of this verbiage is de-emphasizing new hardware outright. We are not talking new hardware, we are talking software going forward.
Okay, Nintendo is horrible for talking out of both sides of their mouth.
I know.
I don't think we're moving away from the Switch. I do think we're gonna see the same evolution of hardware like we did with the 3DS. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see a Switch Pro or a new Switch coming out, since a lot of the rumors have been saying it, probably coming out next year.
Yeah.
Maybe 25 at the latest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's ultimately what a lot of this verbiage means is that we are not getting, a new console. We're getting Switch revisions for the moment. Because I've also...
because looking at that, that whole maintaining engagement with the hardware can lead to the introduction of new software.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at that, and that could be read one of two ways. That can either be read, if we keep giving them stuff to play on it, they'll keep using it. Which is what I'd say most people will look at that as.
Yeah.
However, the other side that I'm looking at would kind of point towards a upgraded revision of the same console.
Mm-hmm.
Because a newer Switch that maybe has more processing power or more storage or any kind of minor increase might be enough to push for new software.
Mm-hmm.
With the 3DS, we had Sun and Moon. It ran fine, but when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out, you pretty much needed one of the new ones, otherwise you were going to see a noticeable decrease in performance. I think that's where they're more leaning with that one, in my opinion. They can push harder if we have newer tech kind of stuff being there.
Yeah, and also, the reason I'm thinking, oh, they probably aren't going to do a new console is I was reminded of how well the Wii sold, how shit the Wii U sold, and now how well the Switch is sold. Because for those wondering, the Switch is now the third best-selling console of all time.
Well,
not just Nintendo, all consoles.
Well,
is now just behind the DS and the PlayStation 2.
I was gonna say, look at that. Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
The Game Boy Advance was the point they started playing around with this hardware idea.
Yeah.
The SP was still a Game Boy Advance at its core, but it was foldable. Which then led them into the DS. The 3DS technically is just a hardware improvement, because it could still run the DS stuff. It's one of those, Nintendo is good for, we're going to give you new hardware so that we can push the previous hardware as far as we can.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, I kind of read that one line as we're probably going to get an upgrade to the Switch. It's not going to be a next gen. It's going to be an upgrade. It's going to be the equivalent to, for PC gamers, upgrading their graphics card concept.
Yeah.
It's still going to be able to run the same stuff. It's just going to look better and perform a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. Truthfully, I feel like that's most of Scarlet and Violet's problem.
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably made with the intent of being released on a more powerful Switch. And then when they found out that that isn't going to happen, they kind of had to scramble to make sure that it could still even function on the current Switch.
Yeah. Scarlet and Violet's problem are performance issues, not glitches. There was a difference between those two.
That's one of those, seeing that, I'm like, okay. Which that's the other thing that kind of has me puzzled with the Prime Remaster. You would think a game that came out after the most recent Pokemon that has had problems would also need to leverage on that. Except I don't notice it with the Prime Remaster. So that tells you right there that it's been ready for a while. Because that means that it was already made with the older style Switches in mind. So what else does Nintendo have that they're holding back too?
Yeah. I'm also reminded.
What other franchises could we potentially see having a Switch release? Because we don't have all the Wii U stuff over yet. We have the bulk of it. But I know for a fact there's still one more Nintendo franchise that has a Wii U game that has not made it to the Switch.
Hi, Star Fox. How you doing? I forgot to tell you about Star Fox Armada that I learned about the other day. Essentially, it was a pitch from Retro to do a Star Fox game, or from one of the people inside Retro to do a Star Fox game.
I think I've heard about that actually.
Yeah, Did You Know recently did a video on it, and it sounded pretty cool. Essentially, it would be a proper sequel to the N64. It would have a more free-form mission layout rather than a straight path layout. But it would be more about upgrading your ships and sending money back to Corneria to rebuild after Andross's assault. And how much do you send back? How much do you upgrade? How much do you use to unlock ship? Like the Landmaster and the Blue Marine.
So XCOM made Star Fox concept.
Yeah, it plays a lot more into the idea of Star Fox is a mercenary unit. Here is them doing a bunch of jobs and stuff in different missions and the like. That sometimes aren't necessarily from Corneria, like the Cornerian army. They're like just contracted out by just whoever's willing to give them a paycheck. But it didn't really get past like a initial pitch, because more or less pitching in Retro is very difficult to get anything off the ground.
And that's not even considering the fact that pitching to Nintendo is very difficult to get anything off the ground.
Yeah. This didn't even make it out of this. Word got, like, some discussions happened with Nintendo personnel, like higher up Retro personnel, but that's as far as it went, was discussions, and that it more or less got canned because nothing happened.
Well, I mean, from my understanding too, that's not the only franchise that Retro had suggestions for.
Oh, I believe Did You Know also did the Zelda one they were pitching.
And if I'm not, I think it was.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think the comment I remember hearing on that video was actually pointing to the fact of everyone was saying that Retro was wanting to just focus on doing Nintendo right by the one thing they actually have. And I mean, I get that. you kind of don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Mm-hmm.
You got the good thing, you keep on rolling. But at the same time, I have to wonder, especially now that Nintendo literally took Prime 4 away from one studio and said, hey, you guys did the trilogy, you want to do this one?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes me think that actually Retro probably would have had a ground to stand on if they said, hey, what about this idea?
Yeah. Because it also makes me wonder, because I remember, I think, I forget if it was a predictions video or something. I was talking about this whole situation with Prime 4 and stuff. Talking about how Retro hasn't released anything in like 7 years since like Tropical Freeze, and I'm like, well, you have to consider how long has Prime 4 been in development before Retro got it dropped in their lap and go, please fix this situation for us by Nintendo.
Well, that coupled with the fact of, from what we can tell from outside looking in kind of concept, Retro pretty much had to redo literally everything from the ground up for Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a 2-year and it's good.
That's forget Prime 4 was announced.
Not to mention, if they had a heavy hand in the remasters, because I'm gonna go ahead and call it, I have a funny feeling 2 and 3's ready. It's just a case of they're waiting for timing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So if Retro had a hand in the trilogy remakes, big enough anyhow, that would have took away from Prime 4's development too.
I think, from what I've read, there's a network of support studios, I think with Iron Galaxy at the head of them, that did, I think, probably most of the work on the Prime Remaster. Retro just oversaw the project.
I'm not saying that's not the case.
Right, but that's still personnel dedicated to the remasters.
Yeah. And more than likely, they still had a pretty hefty hand in it. And right, I say that more so, not so much because of the fact of they were overseeing it, but more so because of the fact of it has been so long since they touched the Prime trilogy. They might have actually needed to get their hands in on it just so that they can make sure they're doing right by Prime 4.
Yeah.
When you're out of something for too long, you kind of have to go back to your starting point and be like, okay, this is what we did, this is where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. And all this doesn't even begin to get in the conversation of what the fuck was Retro doing before they had this dropped in their lap, and more or less were told by Nintendo, this is priority now. This gets done before anything else you were working on. We are literally going to pay you to not to stop working on what you were working on to get this game out the door.
Honest opinion, we've already got one part of what they were working on before.
Oh, you think it was the Prime Remaster?
It wouldn't surprise me. Why not go back to the ones that made the trilogy to begin with and say, hey, can you do a remaster?
True.
Who would be better suited to have the source code on hand to pull from to rebuild from the ground up?
Yeah.
Because I almost feel like a lot of this is rebuilt from the ground up. There's certain characteristics that still feel like the GameCube one. But then there's certain things that I'm like, wait a minute, that would mean you had to have tweaked the engine some. Because like the L jumping. Yeah, the ship is tapered off in the back a little more than it was in the GameCube. To help prevent that, I know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also funny, you could scan the doors in the GameCube one. You can't in that main room on the remaster. Because a lot of times the door was how you got up there. I tried, and I'm like, wait a minute. They actually took that out. It's one of those, it's like, there's certain things that I'm like, okay, this is back-end stuff they fixed. That makes me wonder if they redid the engine or if they just did tweaks. And as old as that engine was, I have a funny feeling they did tweaks. and probably then rebuild. Also, that would make sense with some of the flags.
Yeah.
Because I know in Prime speedrunning, when you can get out of bounds, you have to do like weird checkpoint triggers in order to get the next room to load. And Prime's is really temperamental. Prime 2, on the other hand, you can get to the door and jump a few times and usually can get the next room to load. I was able to do the whole jumping and getting the next room to load when I was playing around with out of bounds. That doesn't happen in Prime that easy. So that tells me that we're definitely not using the full to the T engine from the GameCube.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, in my opinion, that's what Retro was working on. We've already got a third of it. When they got shifted to Prime 4, that's probably what helped delay this, but it probably would have been delayed anyhow. For the simple fact of they're wanting this to play into Prime 4. Otherwise, this was ready to be released at literally any point last year. Why did we wait till now?
That's what I kept saying to one person I followed on Twitter, of just like, where's the Prime trilogy? I'm like, waiting on Prime 4's development. Because they're not going to release the trilogy until Prime 4 is far enough in development that it's guaranteed to come out now. Because they're not going to throw out the trilogy and just be like, because as soon as any part of the trilogy comes out, the next question on everyone's mind is, where's Prime 4?
Yep.
But now they're just like...
Whereas now that we've only got Prime 1, everyone's like, okay, where's 2 and 3? Right. No one's thinking about where's 4 right now.
It helps distract from the 4 question, because it's like, okay, yeah, we've got 4. 4 is... It's probably still cooking, but it's like, we're guaranteed a release within the next year or so for Prime 4 at this point.
I'm at least on the within the next 2.
Yeah.
Because I could see Prime 2. We've actually got the summer slot filled. So I might could see Prime 2 being a September, October release. Hitting that kind of time frame. With Prime 3 probably being about this time next year. So that would put Prime 4 probably holiday of next year.
Yeah.
That would be on point. Granted, Nintendo could completely just come out of left field, do like a direct in May or something, say, oh yeah, guess what? Prime 2's out now, and 3's coming in September.
Yeah.
They could completely do that. But I almost feel like we're still going to be about a year and a half out before it.
I also can't wait. It will take probably quite a while. I can't wait for the what happened from Matt McMuscles on Prime 4, because there is a fucking story on Prime 4's development. We're not going to hear it for like 7 years, but there's a story there, and I want to hear it.
Oh, we'll hear it after Prime 4 comes out. I have a funny feeling. Because at that point, Nintendo won't have to hold back anymore. And Retro will just be like, yeah, we got handed a literal dumpster fire and had to fix this.
We got handed the worst case scenario and was told, do what you need to do. Here's a check. write the number in when you're done.
My only thing out of Prime 4, and they've got me sold regardless, my only thing with 4 is let's not do any kind of stupid motion control gimmicks.
We're on the Switch, so that shouldn't happen.
I don't know. Nintendo decided that Odyssey should have them.
Okay, true.
And technically the remaster has an option for motion controls.
Oh, so it has, what, new, original, and, like, trilogy controls, essentially?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Classic, which is GameCube setup. The current, which is dual stick, and then motion assisted. Yeah, I ain't tried the motion one. I don't want to try the motion. If we leave it as an option, I'm fine with that. But that, and just make it feel like it's supposed to be the continuation from the trilogy. That's all that I want out of it. I don't want some kind of weird off the wall, we're gonna take Other M's story and treat that as Prime 4. No. I don't want something like that. Make it feel like it's part of the Prime trilogy and roll with it.
I feel like Nintendo wants you to forget about Other M at this point.
I
feel
hope
like,
so.
I feel like half the time Dread's cutscenes are just like, hey, you know how Samus is supposed to be a badass? Here's all these cutscenes in Dread that are just like, no, she is a badass.
Well, okay. To be fair, the Adam stuff in Dread,
yeah,
I feel like that's actually more a reference to Zero Mission than it actually ever was to Other M. Even though I'm sure most people that played Other M probably got really aggravated out the gate with that.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that was Nintendo's way of saying, yeah, we screwed that one up. We know. Don't kill us. We'll fix it.
Yeah, here is Samus just giving no shits to things that she has had to murder several times over. Like, yeah, oh, you're adorable. We've done this dance. You're not winning. I firmly believe that her new suit in Dread is a Doomslayer reference. Those colors are too close to not be a Doomslayer reference.
I mean,
And it also helps that the community at large connected Doomslayer to Nintendo when Animal Crossing came out. Because that and Doom Eternal were same day, and everyone on the Nintendo end was like, no, we're not going to compete. No, because Isabelle wants to play Doom Eternal and the Doomslayer wants to play Animal Crossing. They're best buddies. That's just how it is now. We've all headcanoned this. This is facts.
They're best buddies. That's why Doomslayer's not in Smash.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'd have to see them fight each other.
Yep. He just wants to play his Animal Crossing after killing demons all day. It's his downtime.
He just wants to get robbed of all of his bells.
Yep. Alright, anything else on Nintendo before we hit these last two fairly quickly? Since we're at 2 hours. And we're finally done talking Nintendo Direct, essentially.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Quick update on live service games that are dying. Apex Legends is mobile, Battlefield Mobile, Rumbleverse, which is actually from Iron Galaxy. I didn't know Iron Galaxy did that game. Crossfire X and Knockout City are all ending their service within the next several months. Rumbleverse actually, I think, ends next month, which sucks because everything I saw from Rumbleverse looked cool.
I thought
It's a
Knockout
shame that game
City
is now.
looked pretty neat too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the multiplayer dodgeball game.
Yeah.
And Rumbleverse was the wrestling fighting game battle royale.
Okay. This is me, and to each their own, but I really had no interest in it.
Fair. As a wrestling fan, that's what got me interested in it. And everything I saw gameplay-wise seemed cool. I just never sat down and got it.
For Knockout City, I thought it looked neat. I just never fooled with it kind of deal it either.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, I can admire something without touching it. I can also hate something while touching it. Looking at you, Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah. And it just seems like the bubble might have finally bursted on live service games, and I'm not surprised. When you put out too many games that are trying to be the only video game you play, only so many of them are going to survive. Because only so many people are going to care about them. Especially when it's competing against a bunch of other games that don't have to worry about if things go wrong, the game just goes poof tomorrow. Under normal circumstances.
And see, here's the other problem comes with that. The live service games are fine on their own. The problem also comes into, case in point with Fortnite, the creative side.
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite's creative stuff can pretty much emulate just about any other live service game there is. Obviously, I know there's some that it can't, but for the most part, it pretty much. So that's hard to compete. Because that would be like saying that you can make a better Minecraft game. How? I mean...
I also feel like what's at play in all of this is live service games very much struggle in their first year of release. And that, because some of these, like, what is it, Rumbleverse, Knockout City, they were in their first year of release. I know Crossfire X is several years old, but it was his first year, I think, stateside. And I think Apex Legends Mobile and Battlefield Mobile were within their first year or two.
Apex Legends, I don't think is that new. I could be wrong on that.
Legends is well past its first year. Apex Legends Mobile. We're talking the mobile version of Apex Legends.
Obviously, I meant that one, but I was thinking it was farther out than that.
But yeah, I feel like if you're a live service game and you very much struggle in your first year right now, that might be a death sentence. You got to come out that first year swinging. Because if you don't, you might die within that first year. You can't come out with a little bit of content and hope people stick around anymore. Because I think a lot of people have caught on to that as well.
I just get aggravated with the thing like what we've said about most of them just want you to only play it.
Yeah.
It kind of gets back to my stance on RPG. I typically tend to avoid them because of the simple fact of I don't want something that I have to try to remember where I was at when I come back.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately with the live service games, while that's not necessarily the issue, The issue more is if you don't come back to it within a timely manner, then you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
If the season rolls over and you didn't get what you want, well, too bad. Time to start at the bottom and try for something different.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like things have changed. And maybe it's for the better, and unfortunately some games are just going to get caught by that, which sucks. Anyway, last up for news, Halo news, of course. Apparently 343 is going to be switching over to Unreal for development instead of their in-house Slipspace engine. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, no. With as much as you can do in Unreal and Unity both, I almost feel like it's dumber for developers to try to create their own engine.
I think it depends on what you're developing, but yeah.
Not really anymore. Between Unity and Unreal, you can pretty much do anything that any of the AAA games do. The bigger bulk would be if any of the engine deals with like the back end for the enemies kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Slipspace engine, for instance, if it pertained to enemy interactions and that was its focus, and the rest of it was kind of just sharing resources from other engines, then yeah, that could be a problem. But if it's the physics engine is the bulk of that, then now really switching to Unreal, you can do just the same.
Yeah. I'm just reminded of the trouble that is Frostbite for anyone trying to develop an RPG. Because Frostbite had none of the tools to make an RPG.
But see, that's the thing. Unreal's been around for so long. Unity's been around for so long now.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough people now that know how to make it do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
You need an RPG? Ah, cool. You need a shooter? Ah, cool. You need a racing game? Ah, cool. There's not really a need for custom engines anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Is that necessarily a good thing? No. But is it horrible? Not really.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how much it costs to like develop on, those engines as compared to something in-house. But considering you're
probably
working on the in-house engine,
you're probably looking at hundreds of thousands, if not up in the millions, to develop an engine and maintain it.
Yeah, that's the offset of, do we license it and have to pay some other company money for this game, or do we spend the money to like make our own engine and save the costs on that in the long run? Maybe,
because I almost feel like you'd have to have at least 3, probably upwards of 5 or more good selling games off of that engine before the engine itself probably is making profit.
Yeah.
You're not gonna develop an engine, make one game, and instantly make a profit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I almost feel like it'd be more cost effective in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, granted, bigger companies like 343 that have Microsoft backing them, it seems a little more odd than, say, a smaller company that doesn't have a big backer. But at the same time, it's like, maybe this is the push that the industry needs. But at the same time, I hope everyone doesn't get too reliant on Unreal.
Yeah.
Because there's this funny little thing with our law system of, you know, if something ever happened and Unity went under, it pretty much means Unreal would have a monopoly if everyone swapped to it.
Yeah.
Meaning no more Unreal either.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Perhaps we need to pay attention to what we're doing.
Anything else before we move on to releases?
Nope.
Potentially move on to releases because I gotta step away for a hot minute. So I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, so we can do releases. So, on the 14th, Blanc is actually coming out for Switch. I didn't know it came out that soon. Bam. I feel like I need to start a list of games I'm looking forward to based off of either streams I've seen or directs like this, so I can actually keep track of these games and not lose track of them after like a few months.
Or, like in this case, a few days.
Yes. We also have Spy Brothers, Bippy and Bippy DX for Switch. On the 15th, City Skylines Remastered for Series X and PlayStation 5. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Wave 3 DLC on the Switch. WAP for Xbox One. On the 16th, Warped for Switch. And Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition for Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. Let's see. Anything on the 17th? Tales of Symphonia Remastered for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch. Wild Hearts for Series X and PlayStation 5. A Paw Patrol game for PlayStation 5. Mighty Pup Save Adventure Bay. When did...
What? You know what's really bad?
What?
That is two of them now that I've looked at, and I'm like, he's probably going to say that one, and you've said both of them.
I don't get where Paw Patrol came from and how it got over. Like, what is the appeal of Paw Patrol?
Little kids and dogs.
I mean, that makes sense. It just feels like a Paw Patrol was just poofed into existence and is now this like multi-million-dollar franchise, I feel like. But I'm like, when did that happen? Anyway, we go to the 21st with Like a Dragon Ishin coming out for Series X, Xbox One, Series X, PlayStation 4, and 5. That is the remake of the Yakuza spinoff that is in feudal Japan. That is now they've decided, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but they're changing over the Yakuza titles to Like a Dragon, because in Japan they're called Like a Dragon, because you kind of can't name your games Yakuza because that's a no-no.
You're not allowed doesn't get sold.
You're not allowed to promote a large organized crime organization. That's a bad. So you have to call it something else. Content doesn't matter, but the name does. So they're just unifying the name. SpongeBob SquarePants Krusty Cook-Off for Switch, because the remasters of SpongeBob games have done well enough that we're now getting new ones just out of nowhere.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Ultimate Sackboy for Android and iOS. Let's see, on the 22nd in this massive list of things, Digimon World Next Order for Switch, the Metroid Prime Remaster Physical Edition, Resident Evil Village VR mode for PlayStation 5, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition for PlayStation 5, because the PSVR 2 comes out soon, apparently. I've seen a couple people get review copies of the system. The Dark Tales, the Switchback VR for PlayStation 5. Walking Dead, Saint and Sinners Chapter 2, Retribution for PlayStation 5. I feel like a lot of these PlayStation 5s are just PSVR 2 titles.
Probably.
Let's see, on the 23rd. Loot Box Simulator Crimson Fire for Switch.
Didn't that just be EA Simulator?
Probably. Let's see, and lastly on the 24th, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe for Switch, Octopath Traveler 2 for PS4, PS5, and Switch, and then Truck Driver Premium Edition for Series X and PlayStation 5.
Yep, there was the third. I knew there was going to be a third one. I just went straight to that one, and I'm like, yep, that one's going to get said.
There is more in our releases in our notes if you want to see them. So that does it for the show. Tomorrow is Armada. It was certainly 4 episodes I watched. That we end on a cliffhanger, because we're now doing 2-parters.
Yay? Question mark?
I say that very questioningly because I'm like, this is the slowest episode in existence. Holy shit. How is this a 2-parter? This could have been a 1-parter.
Well, I mean, you know, you got to make 2-parters out of 1-parters and cut content and make a 2-parter into a 1-parter.
Yeah. That'll be that. Thursday, I start the Messenger because I don't know what else to do, so we're doing the Messenger because I own that on Epic. Friday, it is Saloon 2, any percent, new game, any percent.
New game plus.
Right, new game plus any percent.
I mean, technically, there's no new game plus.
Well, yeah. I'm terrible at the category name.
Yes.
And then next Saturday is
thing, possibly Fortnite if I don't think of something else, but it might not be. It might actually be a KH2 rando because stuff got up.
Oh, what did they do for the update?
They have actually cleaned up the rando generator. And I believe added a few more. They either added a few different things, or it made it easier to see it. I'm not sure which one.
Okay.
I do know the music rando is now built into it, so.
That's good. Yeah, that'll be next Saturday. So that's the week ahead, folks. So if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at that Philly goal. Add teasers on our Twitter. Gets you updates of life. Exclamation point Discord Jack. Is this one? Drop by. Say hi. See you tomorrow, folks.